Hello, my friends. Welcome. I am Dr. Julie Granger, the founder and owner of Illuminate Freedom Coaching and the developer of the Soul Story Mapping Session. And thank you for being here. I want to acknowledge that if you're here, you're probably on the precipice of some type of shift in your life. And so it takes bravery, maybe even a brazenness to show up here to consider getting support. And whatever it is you want to shift into might require you to make some changes that can feel tense and uncomfortable. And so kudos to you for even being here in the first place. I'm going to walk you through what this is, who this is for. And my main goal is to help you decide if this is right for you. And this is really important to me because the whole point of soul story mapping is for you to drop into your soul and really feel into, via your body, which is the vehicle of getting messages from your soul, how it feels to read this information, to hear what I have to say, and make a choice on whether you're going to move forward with this. However, there still may be something missing, so don't hesitate to reach out to me. My DMs are open, my emails are open, and I'm here for you. And I also want to acknowledge that maybe you'll go through all of this and it won't feel like it's the right fit. And good for you for noticing that and listening to your heart and your soul and your body on that. However, if your soul is feeling the nudge, it would be so fun to go soul to soul with you, be in your corner and witness you stepping into the version of you, the version of your life, the version of your career that helps you feel the most alive. So if that feels like a yes to you, I welcome you to hit that button, sign up for the session, and see where this takes us. Before we dig into all the ins and outs of who this session is for and what it's about, I want to share a story from my own world because this work came from my own seasons of being right where you're sitting right now. Before I ever moved into this type of coaching work, we're going decades back, I was a swimmer. I swam growing up and became an NCAA Division I swimmer, and it was my first love. It was my whole life. It was my identity. I was always raising the bar in a race of one with myself, not just to win, but to just see how much I could challenge myself to grow and step into more and more. I always knew what the next goal was. I always had my eye on it, and I always had a map and a plan to get me there. Then life threw me a series of pivots. A shoulder injury ended my college swimming career before I was ready, but I pivoted into healthcare and poured all of my heart and energy into helping female athletes and swimmers reclaim and retain their identity and purpose as athletes. Then I built a successful practice of my own, helped people heal their bodies, but then it came time to pivot out of healthcare entirely. First, I helped female athletes and women in general with their health and hormones. Then I became a business and marketing mentor for entrepreneurs. And now I've really put it all together in the work I do, helping to guide women through something even more intangible, the story of their soul. And each of these pivots I went through was beautiful and brutal. They brought grief, they brought pain, and a whole lot of tension. My body became my biggest teacher, and it became the telephone line to my soul. And I learned this not only through these pivots, but also through a season of cancer. And now through a season of perimenopause. All of these seasons, all of these pivots, all of these identity and career shifts have ushered me into seasons of massive shedding of this layer of rules and expectations that I thought were what defined me, and instead into allowing the light and story of my soul to really shine in its fullest and most alive expression. And this was maybe the hardest part. Because I'm deeply sensitive and empathetic, which maybe you can identify with, those shifts and seasons and pivots and sheddings came with people shifts too. The friendships, the colleagues, the mentors who couldn't come with me into the next expression of myself. Every pivot had a face down on the floor moment where I had to choose my fullest expression of aliveness or the people who were pulling me back into a less expressed version of myself. And I had this moment of, well, I know it's not that. I don't want that. But also, how do I get into what's next without burning everything down? there was risk. The key for me that I've learned along the way through much trial and error is to always take the sacred pause, especially when you're in the tension, and do exactly what you're doing now, to sink in, to listen to the story of your soul. I've learned time and time again that stepping into the fullest expression of myself is so vulnerable. It's not any less scary, but it's more seamless when someone is in my corner with me. And maybe that's the athlete who's been in me all along. I've always been the one walking the journey, swimming the laps, taking the steps, lifting the weights, deciding what's best for my body and my health and my life and my soul. But my best seasons came when I allowed myself to be seen and witnessed and guided and reflected back by a coach or a guide who really got me and genuinely wanted to see me in the most expressed version of myself at my definition of success. So if something I've said buzzed in your soul, stay with me, because that nudge just might be the start of your next chapter. In nearly 17 years of my career, I have worked a vast array of mostly people who identify as women or girls, and they tend to fall into three categories: a woman in healthcare, an entrepreneur, an athlete, or some combination of all three categories. For category one, you're a woman in healthcare. You're starting to realize you want to shift something, not just in your work, but how you actually walk the talk in your own life. It could be that your career interests have changed, energy is shifting in your body. Maybe you feel like you're outgrowing the track you've built for yourself. Maybe you are burned out and you're done with wherever it is you are. And what's so tricky about healthcare is you have a reputation you might have built, and it can feel really risky to shift into something new, whether it's changing your line of work, changing your profession altogether, starting a business. Maybe how you see things has changed. It's about the mind-body interaction, how you incorporate spirituality into your work, and something feels incongruent. Like there's the version of you who's changed in your life, but it's not showing up in your work. And you just want to make sure that this next chapter you're stepping into feels really aligned with who you are and what you're here to do. And a note on the whole healthcare thing. I work with women who may not be in healthcare, but are in service-oriented professions. I've worked with attorneys, teachers, wellness studio owners like Pilates or yoga or dance, stay-at-home moms. I've worked with women who are C-suite level writers, creatives, artists, everything in between. But the thing that brings everyone together is you have a heart to serve and lead. The next category, category two, is entrepreneur. So you may be a woman in healthcare who is an entrepreneur, or you may be a woman who is an entrepreneur in general. So maybe you're contemplating a big shift, going from being an employee in a corporation or even in a small business to being your own boss. Maybe you're already a business owner and you're wanting to scale up, get bigger, make a bigger impact, take your business to the next level. Maybe you're wanting to scale down. Maybe you've actually grown pretty big and made a pretty big impact and it doesn't feel like it's your place anymore. And you actually want to bring it back down to a sustainable level, maybe just like a one-woman show. Yet you don't quite know how to go from there to where it is you're envisioning. Or maybe you're in category three. You're an athlete, or you identify as someone who's just really active and athletic and really dedicated to training and staying in shape, CrossFit, running, triathlete, swimmer, mountain biker, performing artist. And you're feeling a shift at this phase of life. You are shifting in how you approach training. You're shifting in how you approach your identity as an athlete. You've got other priorities. Maybe you have kids. Maybe you're a dog mom. Maybe you have taken up gardening. Maybe you have aging parents. And it's all of this is coming together and like starting to have you question how much, if any, you want to dedicate to your athletic endeavors. And maybe you want to dedicate more. Maybe it's time to turn the volume up. But you have all this stuff going on and you're like, I don't want to throw myself out of whack or out of balance. And what I find with most of my clients is usually some combination of all three, like in healthcare, entrepreneur, or entrepreneur to be active and athletic woman. And the other identifying factor is you're in that millennial or younger Gen X generation. So women in the 35 to 55 age group, where your priority, your identity, your energy, and your body is shifting. And it's a ripe time to start asking a lot of questions about who you are, what you're here to do, and who your people are, which are the three main questions that I tend to work through with clients. A lot of people would call that a midlife crisis, which is a cute name, and it may actually feel that way many times. I call it a midlife awakening because you're waking up to what's actually really true for you, what's actually really important to you, and what's not. And you're also just getting clear on the fact that you have no more fucks to give. In certain places, you just don't want to hang out with certain people or be in certain spaces or stay up past 9 p.m. anymore. It's just not your rhythm. It's not your tone. It's not your vibe. So if you find yourself in any of those places and you're goal-oriented, you're ambitious, you just have this internal drive to raise your own bar, to be a better version of yourself, to unlock that 1% that gets you to more, whatever the more is for you. And you've been this way your whole life. You sink yourself deep into what it is you love. You're really dedicated to it. And then sometimes you outgrow it. And so you move on to the next thing. You're really self-aware. You really listen to yourself to get there. You thrive in this place of constantly raising that bar and tweaking little things and improving yourself. It's such a beautiful testament of growth mindset. And at this stage in your life where you're kind of like, this place I'm at doesn't feel right for me anymore. The problem is you're kind of like, I don't know what is right. So normally you get the goal in mind, the vision, and you just go for it. But now you're hesitating. You might know what it is, or you don't know what it is. You don't know what your next move is. You don't quite know what your next chapter is. And that can feel really jarring for someone who usually knows where they're going and what's right for them. And it feels tense, sort of like, ooh, I feel lost. I feel unmoored. I feel a little directionless. I feel stuck in the in-between of who I was and who I'm becoming. And all that tension can build up, and you might do all you can to help yourself feel good in that tension. You might have done therapy. You might have really dialed in your wellness routine. Counting protein has become a full-time job for you. Maybe you, are looking at an exercise routine or a training regimen that feels really restorative, but also challenging to you. And then you're also looking inward. You've done nervous system regulation, gratitude journaling, breath work. You're looking on the soul and the spiritual level to just stay connected. But still, you might be laying in bed at night, scrolling your phone, and you're wondering, like, is this it for me? My life is actually pretty good. It looks good on paper. I've built a lot, but something doesn't feel like it's mine. It's not right. And maybe I can see what it is I want, or I can't see what it is I want. I feel like I'm made for so much more, and I want to harness the energy and youth I still have to capture that. But I also have finite energy. I have finite time. I have finite resources. There's a lot of balls in the air. So I don't want to burn everything down. I don't want to hurt people. I don't want to hurt myself. I don't want to lose everything I've built, because that would bring guilt. It would bring grief. It would hurt. I just want you to know, if you're in that place in any way, shape, or form, that's okay. And it's normal to feel unmoored, to feel lost, to feel directionless, to feel stuck, to feel kind of like you're walking through a valley, not sure which way is up. And the thing I really want you to know is you're not doing anything wrong for feeling this way. I would propose that the fact that you feel this tension, this brewing, these questions coming through your body and soul, it means that you're actually doing a lot right. And in a world that tells you to calm your tension and tame it and regulate it, I would encourage you to lean in and listen and trust your capacity to hold it. Because what it means is your system, mind, body, and spirit, is accurately clocking the importance of this moment to you. If it weren't important to you, it wouldn't feel tense and it wouldn't feel big. And I want to tell you why this tension has come. So I call this the conformity corset. The conformity corset is this invisible structure. You can't touch it, but you can feel it. It's made up of all the expectations, conditioning, and rules you've followed throughout your life. Even well-meaning rules that seem healthy and seem like they're right for you. It's what got you here. But now it's wrapped around you. It's created this tension, and you feel boxed in. You feel fenced in. You feel like you're expanding and you've outgrown it and it doesn't fit you anymore. And like a corset, it's been supportive, but it can cinch in and make you feel like it robs you of your breath, your inability to digest, and like really feel like you're showing yourself to the world. In summary, you started to outgrow the conditioning patterns, the expectations, the people, practices, the identities that you've built until now. And what's really, really tricky about humans is we are wired to authentically express who we are. We are wired to authentically go after what our soul wants us to do. We are authentically wired to follow our heart, but we're also wired to maintain bonds of connection with people who see us and expect us to show up a certain way. And neurobiologically speaking, if one is up against the other, if I fully express and become the person I'm supposed to be and live the life I'm supposed to live, and I am wired for belonging and being looked up to or being depended on by my kids, my staff, my team, my colleagues, my spouse, and also being the person who is depending on others, what will happen is they go up against each other in your nervous system. And the nervous system is wired to default to restoring and maintaining belonging and connection and bonds instead of being authentically you. And so over years, all of the expectations of people and the conditioning of society and the way you're supposed to be and the rules, all these things that help you feel safe in a world where we are social beings and looked at and cared for by others, and it's wrapped around you. But what it's doing is it's closing in on your most authentic version of what your soul has designed for you to be, do, and have in this lifetime. And it's just a natural part of midlife where it happens at different ages and different stages for different people, but it's normal because your body's shifting, because your mind is shifting, because priorities are shifting, to start to feel that corset wrapped around you and want to get out of it. And that's why it feels like a crisis, because you're like needing to bust out of this thing. You're boxed in. So the fact that you're here feeling this is good news because it means your soul has planted seeds that you're starting to water because you're asking these questions, you're feeling that tension, and those seeds are starting to outgrow the container box that they're in, and they're looking for more room to grow. So here's what most women try to do when they're at this place. They try regulating their nervous system, all of that tension, uneasiness, unsteadiness. Maybe you try joining a career mastermind or a business mastermind. Maybe you'll do professional training like certifications or courses. Maybe you'll do more athletic training and even work with a coach. Maybe you take up a new sport. Maybe you take up a new hobby like gardening. Or maybe you're muscling through, patching the uneasiness with supplements, with diet changes, with lifestyle changes, with performance enhancers. Maybe you've started menopause hormone therapy. All good things. And those are helping, but you're still not moving. You still don't feel like that tension is unwrapping itself from you, corset. And that's because you're missing one thing. You're missing your soul story map. You, goal-oriented person who has always known where you're going, set the bar and gone after it, doesn't know where you're going. And the other thing that's missing to help you create that map, sign on the dotted line with yourself, like a notary, a witness to seeing you do it, and a witness to help you birth it, like a doula. So that's what soul story mapping is. This is not going to be a checklist or a framework that I give you to follow. This is not me telling you what to do with your life. I will shine a flashlight and point out things I'm seeing that maybe you're not seeing, like body language changes, tone of voice changes. I use a lot of somatic work in my client work, which helps us see and hear and feel things that sometimes you don't realize are coming through you. Some of the most magical moments my clients tell me they have with me. We use a lot of internal family systems oriented type work to really get in and listen to what all the inner parts of you are saying. And this is a co-creative session where you listen to your soul, you notice what's tugging, and you start to draw the map on what's next. Not just what, but when, where, how, and why, especially the why. What clients tell me who do these sessions, they tell me I am very much like their doula, their guide. They know they're the ones walking the trail. They know they're the one birthing the new version of themselves. I'm the witness. I'm the one there to help you make it more fluid and let you do it with less friction. So if you have a background as a go-getter, as a really goal-oriented woman, as an athlete, you get this. You know that it's yours to walk. You know you have to be self-aware. You know you need to look at yourself holistically. You also know that you can think about something, you can dream about it, you can calm your system, you can visualize, and that's great. But at some point you have to step up to the plate and swing the bat. This is more like batting practice, where you're doing the swinging, you're doing the movement, you're listening to your body and telling me how it feels. And we're honing your swing, we're honing your stance to maximize how it feels to show up in the next phase of whatever it is you're doing. And Your swing, your stance, how you do things, the choices you make are going to look really different from every other person's. And I'm here to guide you, not into anything that I would do, and not into a prefabricated way it should look or sound or feel or taste or smell. So we'll get clear on that for you. And you get to feel how it feels to be witnessed in even the beginnings of naming and voicing what it is you want, who it is you are, what you're supposed to be doing, and who your people are. And I'm just going to help, put the bumpers up on your bowling lane and keep you from wandering too far from yourself. If that makes sense. I'll be your mirror reflecting back what it is I'm hearing and seeing. You also may have been in group coaching before you came here. You might have listened to podcasts. You may have joined live streams, but this session allows you to truly have you mirrored back to you and for you to really develop a personalized plan without rushing you, pressuring you, pushing you, or needing it to look any certain way that I expect it to look, because that would be antithetical to trying to remove the conformity force. It's about walking beside you as you step forward into who you're becoming, because that can be such a tender and vulnerable place to stand. And so we're going to go at your pace. And once we finish this session, you'll get follow-up support from me via Voxer, where we can do voice memos, texts, because things are going to download and percolate after the session. And the last thing I want is to leave you hanging. And so if you're feeling called to really be held one-on-one, this is the place to do it. Lastly, if it feels accessible and you're able, I invite you to pause, keep the video playing, and drop into your body. Just take a breath, feel your feet on the ground, and put your attention around your heart space. You can even put your hand on your heart if that helps. And ask yourself, well, first of all, what does it feel like to drop into my body and just be in my heart for a minute? There are temperatures, there are sensations, there an image that comes to mind. Do I feel anything anywhere else in my body that comes up? Does it feel hard to access? Just take some breaths into that as well. Now imagine yourself trusting that you came here today on a nudge from your soul, even if it doesn't make rational or logical sense, or a part of you is going, why are you here? You can figure this out. Do you really need help? Do you really need support? And just acknowledge that those voices might be present. That's normal. Now imagine how it would feel to say yes to listening to your soul and mapping out the story of your soul, mapping out your next chapter. I'm curious how that feels to you. It might feel warm. It might feel squirmy. It might feel scary to imagine yourself being seen and actually putting pen to paper and putting words around it. That's okay. This is normal. That's often the soul saying, pay attention to me. This is important. Now, imagine yourself someplace in the future where you figured this out, you started taking action, you started creating the life that makes you feel fully alive. Imagine that future self looking back and how grateful she feels that you leaned in, sank in, and listened. What would she say to you right now, sitting in this place? What advice would she give you? What would she say about the energy you're feeling in your body? And what would she say about trusting the nudge that brought you here today? And just think about how it would feel to say yes. And I get it, because you're not just saying yes to a session, you're saying yes to the next version of you and letting her actually start to come out and be expressed and be voiced and be felt and be heard. And you're investing money, of course, which I know is no small thing. And it might feel big, one, because it's a financial stretch, and I want to honor that. It might feel big because it's a soul stretch. Sometimes it's hard to differentiate the two. Either way, I really invite you to listen to that sacred yes. Listen to that deep voice that gave you some advice about what to do in this moment. Whatever she said, it could be, no, don't do it. That's okay. But if you're feeling the tug, I would be so honored to walk this journey with you. I trust that your soul brought you here for a reason. I can have all the trust in the world, obviously. You're welcome to borrow some of mine if you like. So if you're feeling that nudge, even if it feels squirmy, that's okay. I invite you to click the button on this page, book your soul story mapping session. Know that you'll be wrapped in a full blanket of support even before the session, so you know how to show up and get the most out of your time and what to do after. And if you're not sure about anything, check the FAQs, DM, email me. I'm here for you. I'd love to help you discern if this is right for you, if it's the right time, and if I'm the right person for you. And if not, I'll be honest about that. Either way, I am in your corner, and I can't wait to see what map your soul draws and what comes for you next. Thanks for being here.